open then, just leave the door open.
Yeah, but then you might get sounds.
I don't mind nature sounds.
Yeah, as long as someone starts having a fight, then you might.
Who's gonna have a fight?
I'll leave it open.
Are you gonna start a fight?
Yeah, man, I'm going up to fight with the schools.
Hi, hello, it's Mara Hamido. Welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to be making a chocolate cake. I'm going to be talking to you about introverts while doing this because I feel like introverts have a lot of misconceptions around them. A lot of my opinions on introverts have been influenced by Frank James, so if you want to check out his channel, link in the description. I have all my ingredients out because I'm so organized.
I've even preheated the oven.
I feel like this is a bad idea. I'm just gonna pour it all in the bowl. 3 eggs. 1, 2, 3. Water. 8 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I'm doing olive because I'm bougie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. Firstly, I want to define what an introvert is to me. Hey Siri, define introvert.
Introvert means a shy, reticent person.
And then as well as that, it says a person predominantly concerned with their own thoughts and feelings rather than with external things. And I don't like that definition because it makes introverts sound like anxious and selfish. I think what defines an introvert is, firstly, introverts need time to recharge from social interaction. How frequent and how intense the recharging is varies from each introvert. The second thing I think that defines an introvert is that they internalize energy. Extroverts, like when they're around people, it's cathartic for them because they're releasing the energy that's been pent up inside them. But with introverts, they're more like sponges and they prefer to observe and take in information. So that can be kind of exhausting, and that's why recharging is necessary for introverts. And that leads me into the next thing, which is types of introverts. But before we do that, I'm just gonna... Alright, I'm gonna do something gross now. Tastes just how I remember. Kind of mediocre. If you disagree with my definition of introverts, put your own definition of an introvert in the comments down below. The thing is, it gets deeper than that. I feel like there's a whole spectrum of introverts, but I'm just gonna mention like the 2 extremes and then the kind of middle ground. On one side of the scale, you have that like extremely shy and anxious introvert who hates social interaction, and when they interact socially they just feel really out of their comfort zone and like, what is going on? This is unsafe, I need to leave now. But on the other side of the scale, there are actually introverts which are quite social, and those introverts often get mistaken as extroverts. But as I said before, what defines an introvert isn't the fact that they avoid social settings, it's just that they need time to recharge from them and that they interact with social settings differently than an extrovert would. But oftentimes when an introvert is more extroverted, it just means that they've trained themselves to go against their original preference to being introverted. In life, I feel like it's not super practical to be a full-on introvert or a full-on extrovert, because there are scenarios and times in life where you either have to be around people or alone. So to learn a middle ground between introversion and extroversion is useful. That's what brings me to the middle ground of those 2 extremes. An ambivert introvert who has actually probably got the best balance because they understand when it's appropriate to be introverted and just take time for themselves. I'm just gonna put this cake in the oven. So we are back now and the cake is all done. I'm excited to decorate this cake. I haven't decorated a cake in a long time. I personally would say that I have experienced the 2 extremes of this spectrum. I've had really bad social anxiety in the past, and that made me into that stereotypical introvert. But I currently feel like I am on the more extroverted side of the introvert spectrum. I am not coping with that well, so I feel like ambivert introvert is the best because I think it's important to give yourself time as much as you do other people. When I talk to people and meet people, I feel like I am definitely more of a feeler. Used to think I was more thought-based because I was dissociating a lot, so it made me assume like feelings are for babies. That combined with introversion can be quite an exhausting combination because you are taking in people's emotions through analysis or literally take on their emotions. I love interacting with people. I'm not an introvert who shies away. Particularly, I find that people feel listened to when they speak to me because I'm more interested in hearing what they have to say. And it means people open up, and I do appreciate that. I feel really valued when people open up to me, and I really love helping people work through problems, particularly like emotional ones. But yeah, when people tell me about their problems, unfortunately for me, I can't help but absorb the emotion they're expressing. In situations where people are confiding in me, they're not gonna be like, oh yo, my life is going so good right now. People are more likely to be like, I'm not having a great time, I am struggling with X, Y, and Z, I'm not sure what to do, which is fine because I do like helping people, but at the same time I need to learn to set a boundary to know when is the right time to help people and when is the right time to take time to be more introverted, basically. Because I give other people a lot of time, but I need to realize that I also deserve time because I'm the valid human as much as other people in my life are. And that's a big reason why I personally, as an introvert, need time to relax. I do think it's important to talk things through, even if you're an introvert, and get advice and stuff like that. But the way introverts release energy can be different. Like, I know personally, I prefer releasing energy through creative hobbies. I find it more satisfying to do so than in conversation. And that's not to say I can't, it's just not my preference and it's not what comes to me naturally. When I don't get the time to release those emotions and spend time alone and just recuperate, it really tires me out. I think this cake is pretty much frosted. I'm gonna basically be doing like a psychedelic kind of design. I'm just kind of gonna start off with a squiggle and then I'm gonna build layers. Now I'm gonna add some sprinkles. There we go, close up of my cake. Wow. But it is quite messy on the edges, but I tried my best. I think we have a cool cake. Like, it looks fun, right? This is like something you could serve at like a 2-year-old's party or something, and the 2-year-old would be like, yes. Now, it's literally time to try this bad boy. I don't feel like cutting a slice. I'm literally just gonna take a chunk out of the side. Pretty mediocre. The inside, fairly moist, whatever, fluffy, but it's got that like artificial chocolate box cake flavor. The frosting is obviously good. I think the only reason we allow cake of this quality to exist and like thrive is because we ate it as children. Whenever there's a bake sale, I remember having this, but I feel like if I'd never tried a Betty Crocker like box cake before with the frosting, I would hate it, but you know what, it's fine. I had a fun time actually making this cake. Let's move on to Song of the Week. So for this Song of the Week, I'm gonna have to recommend Daffodils by Mark Ronson. It's got a feature of Kevin Parker in there. Bassline is really sick. Kevin's vocals so good because he's singing in that like strong falsetto. And then the guitar in there is fun, especially in like the little solo sections. The lyrics are really like interesting. Overall, a really fun, funky song. I also have to include this as an honorable mention because I think I'll never mention it otherwise. Ordinary Pleasure by Toro y Moi. That is a cool little song. I really like the bass in there. It's got like a wow wow funky kind of bass sound. It's got that 70s psychedelic feel to it. I like the intonation of the song in general because it goes upward. It's like maximize all the pleasure. Like very positive, but it feels kind of empty at the same time in its texture. Less energy and less dense in terms of like a lot of psychedelic stuff, but it's still fun. I think it's a really fun song. So definitely give Ordinary Pleasure by Toro y Moi a listen. But yeah, that's my Song of the Week for you guys, plus an honorable mention because I felt like I had to. If you have a song recommendation for me, please leave it in the description down below and I will check it out if I haven't already, and if I like it and it has an impact on my week, I will include your mention and give you a shout out in my next videos. So please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.